Central. The St. Louis Cardinals hosting the Chicago Cubs on the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck. Tim McCarver is coming right up. This is really a case of the haves and the have-nots. The Cardinals and the Cubs have both suffered their fair share of injuries. However, the Cardinals have dealt with those injuries much better. The Cardinals are 2 games up in the division, while the Chicago Cubs, Tim McCarver, are 9 games back behind St. Louis so far. That's really what's transpired here in 2011.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not that you have injuries, but how you respond to them. And in my view, the Cardinals have responded better because they have more experienced young players. And that's one of the reasons the Cubs are 9 back, because their players are young but not experienced.
And when you look at these 2 clubs up the middle for the Cubs, it's 2 young guys, Darwin Barney and Starlin Castro. For the Cardinals, it's 2 vets, Lance Berkman, Albert Pujols. We're glad you're with us. It's Fox Saturday Baseball, and it comes your way next. .94 degrees on this Busch Stadium day, and there's the forecast, sunny and hot, as we get ready for the Cardinals and the Cubs. And this opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And we'll give you a look at the Cubs starting lineup. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And with Fukudome leading off, it's Darwin Barney batting in the number 2 spot. Starlin Castro hits 3rd. Then it's Pena, DeWitt, Soto. The bottom 3 are Tyler Colvin, the young guy Tony Campana, who can really fly, and Randy Wells is pitching and batting in the number 9 spot. And here is the 7-game winner, Kyle Lohse, who has been terrific so far this year.
I'll say one of the best starters in the major leagues. He has returned after a savage injury to his right forearm. We'll talk more about that. A very unusual changeup with his grip. And yet another Dave Duncan pupil who has done very, very well.
And a guy who has really flourished here in St. Louis. And speaking of flourishing, what a good start for the Cubs. Fukudome shoots the gap in left center field, and Kosuke has a first pitch leadoff double. And right out of the gate, Kosuke Fukudome says today is going to be different than last night when Jaime Garcia was perfect through 4 innings against Chicago.
Fukudome has a .412. That'll go up. A .412 on base percentage when hitting leadoff, his 35th game. I'll tell you what, that was a great play by Colby Rasmus in center field to hold Fukudome to just a double.
It brings in Darwin Barney, who is the number 2 guy and a young player who could very well be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. He takes a tailing fastball for strike 1. He is part of a good, young, middle infield combination for the Cubs, and with a season filled with disappointment so far, the combo of the guy at the plate and the guy on deck has been terrific.
Ooh.
What a perfect bunt, and no play for the rookie Carpenter. It's a base hit for Barney, and it's first and third, nobody out, and a blink here in St. Louis.
How about that for your first major league play? Matt Carpenter, his first start in the major leagues, and a blueprint of a bunt by Barney right in the middle of the line and the grass.
Only hope for St. Louis was if Carpenter maybe let that one roll to see where it would have ended up, but seemed to be in a good position, and it's first and third, nobody out for Castro. Cubs are looking for their first win in June as Castro takes the ball down and away. Cubs have lost 6 of their last 7. They lost here last night 6-1. They have been racked with injuries, and they've come out of the gate here this afternoon on this warm day with a double, a bunt single, and now the 1-0 pitch from Lohse. Ball and a strike. When we get the opportunity, we will go into exactly what that injury was with Kyle Lohse. It has been a long road back, and he is right now at the top of his game, but right now in trouble. Makes a good pitch, and that is strike number 2 on Starlin Castro.
Starlin Castro with 40 hits in April. That's the second most hits ever by a Cub player. Mark Grace had 42 in '96. But the one problem he has, the biggest problem he has, is defense. His second biggest problem is swinging at strikes. He hasn't done it yet today.
Set up at a ball and 2 strikes, and reaching for it, Lohse gets the lead, or rather the middle runner at second. And it's first and third, 1 out now. So Lohse checked on the runner and then made the aggressive play and got Barney going down to second for out number 1.
Joe, it's one of those situations where the world is happy. Everybody made the right play. Lohse looked the runner back, the runner got back, and the runner, Darwin Barney, just out at second base. That was a very good play by Lohse. A lot of times pitchers will commit too early, go to third, and they miss that out at second base. Not Lohse.
Starlin Castro misses the RBI opportunity and brings in Pena with first and third, 1 out. Pena, who's on that 1-year deal and who got off to the slow start. No home runs through his first 25 games, and he steps out. Time granted by the home plate umpire Marvin Hudson. And there are the numbers. First 25 compared to what he's done over the last 27. And a breaking ball is down for ball 1. On deck is Blake DeWitt. Cubs still playing without Aramis Ramirez, who was hit in the mouth by a ground ball that popped up on him on Wednesday. Not on the DL, and it's Mike Quaddy's hope that he's in the lineup tomorrow afternoon. That's ball 2.
And Mike telling us that Ramirez will be available, he thinks, as a pinch hitter in this game.
This is a Cubs team that is struggling in this spot, hitting just .230 with runners in scoring position That mark is 26th around baseball. First and third, one out, and out in front of it is Pena, 2-1. They can get on base. You see what they've done leading off, and across baseball they hit .314 leading off. Best at .283 with bases empty, but in his first full season you saw a glimpse of Mike Quade. His team has not taken advantage of opportunity so far this season. Here is a step to third, look to first, and safe is Castro getting back ahead of the tag.
Had Lohse thrown that ball right away after he looked to first, then Castro's out. But Lohse stepped up. I think Kyle couldn't believe that Castro was off that far. That play normally does not work. I'll tell you, that is very close. Right there. Tagged on the shoulder, but the hand appeared to be in there.
Counts 2-1 on Pena. And now 2-2. So you've got Pena batting in the cleanup spot. The heart of the order for the Cubs so far this season have the fewest combined home runs, just 9, in what should be the meat of the order. A team that overall is hitting .270. You saw the numbers, but for a team that plays at Wrigley Field, not enough power from the heart of this lineup. Here is a 2-2 pitch. Instead, time called by Pena, the hitter.
Mike Quade hoping or thinking probably, I hope this inning is not like the one I've seen so many times before. Opening double, great bunt by Barney. First and third, nobody out, and then a big out by Lohse. Pena in the hole.
See if Pena can deliver for Chicago. And he cannot. A strikeout for Lohse. And that's out number 2. So another scoring chance is going down the drain for Chicago, unless Blake DeWitt does something with 2 out.
Some pitchers have a power pitch for their swing and miss pitch, not Lohse. His changeup is one of the best around. Very unusual grip, and we'll talk about it later on.
Here is DeWitt hitting .288. Playing third base today in place of the injured Ramirez. Breaking ball in for a strike. Lohse is a guy that can throw 5 pitches. And when he is on, he can move the ball to both sides of the plate. DeWitt waits for the 0-1. That's a little high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Not every pitch is designed to get you out. A fastball like that inside opens up the outside part of the plate. That's where Lohse will go with that devastating changeup.
Cubs coming off a 3-6 homestand. Start of a 10-game trip. They're 0-1, losing last night. That's foul. And strike 2. If you look at the defensive alignment for St. Louis, it's brought to you by Scott's. And in the outfield, it's Jay in left, Matt Holliday on the DL, Matt Carpenter, his Major League Baseball debut, Descalso at second, and the catcher is Molina with Lohse in the middle of all the action. And Lohse is 1 good pitch away from getting out of a first inning jam. So a 3-6 homestand for Chicago against teams like the Mets, Pittsburgh, Houston. Swept by the Astros, and now a 10-game trip through St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Philly. Here's the 1-2. That is a long run, and Jay is there to end the inning. Good job by Lohse to get out of trouble, and for the Cubs, more of the same. A double, a bunt hit, 2 left. And after a half here in St. Louis with Lohse pumped up after 1/2 inning, no score. The Cardinals starting lineup that will face him, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. It's Theriot, Jay, and Pujols, the top three, with Berkman, Rasmus, and Molina in the middle. Matt Carpenter will get his first major league at bat. Then Daniel Descalso and Kyle Lohse is pitching and batting ninth. Randy Wells has made just 2 starts. He had an injured forearm after his first start of the year, and this is his second start coming off the DL.
Randy 2-0 against the Cardinals last year. And Belleville just across the river. A converted catcher, 1 of 2 on the pitching staff of the Cubs. Carlos Marmol is the other. Changeup very important, and as Joe said, a local product. Lots of local support, including his 94-year-old grandmother, Helen Wells, who's watching in Belleville this afternoon. And while we're at it, right outside the AAA affiliate of the Cardinals in Rosemark, Tennessee, she turned 95 last month. Alvena McDaniel watching.
There's a strike over the outside corner, and we're underway in the bottom of the first.
Gotta love it.
Theriot has got a career-best 17-game hitting streak going. Last night started his night with a double. The Cardinals put up 3 on a home run in the first inning by Lance Berkman, who bats behind Pujols, with Matt Holliday on the DL.
We wanted to give this telecast a little Harry Carey feel. Harry didn't miss many, did he, in the country while he was broadcasting?
No. That one squirts away, and Theriot looks at ball 1-1-2. There's Theriot's active 17-game hit streak. Longest one belongs to Ethier of the Dodgers. Here is 1-2. And it's inside, 2-2. Theriot, the longtime Cub, in his first year here in St. Louis, hitting in front of John Jay. And a 2-2. 1 out. Hit right at Blake DeWitt over at third. Take a look at the defensive alignment for Chicago. It's brought to you by Scott's. Colvin, Campana, and Kosuke Fukudome in the outfield. Blake DeWitt, Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney, and Carlos Pena on the infield with a battery of Soto and Wells. And here is John Jay, one of those good young players who has stepped up. He's had his opportunity this season. Good pitch from Wells, strike 1. And now ball 1.
That's what we were talking about in our opening, about the experience of the young players on the Cardinals. Young man like John Jay, who hit 300 and over 250 at bats last year. He and Alan Craig, when you think about it, where would the Cardinals be without these two guys?
Alan Craig is one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. In fact, so hot that Tony La Russa is trying to cram him into a new position defensively at second base. As that one misses outside to Jay, 2-2.
Just get his bat in the lineup.
Jay batting in the number 2 spot in front of Albert Pujols, who the Cardinals hope will get hot. Has yet to hit that good streak as they play without Holliday now on the DL. 2 out here in the first inning, and a good start for Randy Wells. Told you that the home plate umpires Marvin Hudson. Ted Barrett is the crew chief at first. He'll work the finale here tomorrow afternoon with Ron Colbert at second and DJ Rayburn over at third. Here is Pujols, who has 2 home runs in his last 5 games. He went deep last night, and he hit a home run here on Monday.
Last night was a big one. The 100th home run hit here at Busch Stadium 3.
And a strike over the outside corner, and it looked a lot like this. A seed out in the left. Part of a 6-1 win. Behind Jaime Garcia, who bounced back from a rough start a week ago tonight in Colorado. Here's the 0-1. Inning over. 2 line drive outs. We have played 1 in St. Louis. Cubs and Cards. No score.
It's the Cardinals and the Cubs. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow. Smith corks one into right down the line. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
Jack Buck and Harry Carey. That, by the way, that home run by Ozzie Smith was after Ozzie had gone homerless in 3,009 at-bats. And fortunately for NBC, they had the graphic. 3,009 at-bats. They put the graphic up. Ozzie hits the ball out, and your father with that unbelievable call.
Here is 1 to the left side off the bat of Soto, and out number 1. That was as a left-handed batter.
As a left-hander, right.
It was off Tom Niedenfuhr. And when you grow up in St. Louis, that is one of those you remember where you were when that ball was hit.
Man.
Soto grounds out to short, 1 away here in the top of the second. It brings in Tyler Colvin. Those two guys, Harry Carey and Jack Buck, were in the same booth with Joe Garagiola, by the way. Which is about as good a combination as this game has ever heard.
As good as it gets.
50s and the 60s, and then Harry Carey with those unforgettable years in Chicago with the Cubs, where he was just larger than life.
71, he was in Oakland. Or in 1970, he was in Oakland, then with the White Sox from 71 through 79. And now so good with the Cubs and so memorable, they have a statue of him outside Wrigley Field, as they do Jack Buck, a statue here at Busch 3.
2 out as Colvin strikes out here in the top of the second. And today's game, presented by Sprint, is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB. 2 out, nobody on. Here is Tony Campana, who can fly. Manager before the game, he compared him to a Brett Butler type. He is a small guy who plays small ball and uses his great speed to put pressure on the defense as the count evens at 1. And he's on with 2 out here in the second. scampering around first base and then sliding, regaining his footing and getting back to the bag is Campana, and that base hit at the very least clears the former catcher Randy Wells, who is hitless this season, is a 176 career hitter with the Cubs.
Joe, you almost waste the speed that Campana has when he hits eighth. When you bat him eighth in situations like this, there's no way for him to try to steal second base, because if he doesn't make it, then you've got the pitcher leading off the next inning. Eighth place in the National League is no place for speed.
One on, two out, and Wells could not hold up. If Campana sticks, he brings a different element to the Cubs. And he's going to have to change his number. That number just looks too big for his back. Over at first base.
Trying to grow into his number.
41 doesn't work. Left side, and Carpenter makes his first defensive play in the major leagues after an inning and a half, no score.
We talked about the memorable duo of Harry Carey and Jack Buck. Jack Buck.
Sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And while we get ready for the bottom of the second with Berkman first up against Randy Wells, we will give you our Ford keys to the game.
We came up with these keys before the game started. Little did we know that the Cubs, that it would be prescient for the Cubs in the first inning, trying to improve with runners on base, and for the Cardinals to continue to reap benefits from the farm system.
There is no score, and Berkman up there hacking goes after the first pitch, one out. That is the third line drive out. Hit against Wells, and Berkman, who homered in the first inning last night, didn't wait around long. Brings in Colby Rasmus. They had a big day here on Thursday against the Giants. He hit a 2-run triple and also a grand slam. So a 6 RBI game, and he has been awfully streaky so far in his young big league career as he takes a strike on the outside corner. His home run ratio is down from a year ago, and he's jammed here. Wells has made some good pitches. 2 out. Campana took care of that, and it'll bring in the hottest hitter in the big league since the middle of May 15th. Yadier Molina, who's hit .414 since, and overall 5th best average in the league at .324. Which is a big number, Tim, for him.
Oh, boy. 3-time Gold Glove Award winner. Been in 2 straight All-Star games. This year's All-Star game being played in Phoenix on July 12th. What a player.
And a strike from Wells.
His other 2 brothers are very, very good catchers. He's the best of the 3.
That's in at the knees, and Wells has been sharp here at the start. It's 0-2. So getting another chance to take on the team he grew up nearby Belleville, Illinois, just across the river. He was good, as Tim mentioned, last year, 2 ERA under 1, and he has been hitting his spots here in the first 2 innings today, as that one's fouled back, still 0-2.
Mike Quaddy telling us that Randy had a wonderful spring training, and it was a very unfortunate incident. The forearm strain that put him on the disabled list. So for the most part, this is spring training for Randy Wells.
And he gets a little fly ball into right. So Wells has been perfect through 2. There is no score into the 3rd, and one of the good young Cub stars, 21-year-old Starlin Castro, coming up for Chicago in the 3rd after this from your local Fox station. Here on a 95-degree day in St. Louis. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals, and Lohse back to work. Drops one in for strike 1 to Kosuke Fukudome, who jumped on the first pitch and doubled into left center field. And all he was stranded after that. Cubs had first and third, nobody out after a bunt hit by Darwin Barney, and couldn't do anything with it.
Kyle Lohse rethought that pitch Right in the middle of the windup. You don't want to do that with a man on third base.
No, that would lead directly to trouble. There's one into left center again, and this time Jay catches up to it, 1 out. It'll bring in Darwin Barney, who is rapidly becoming one of the best rookies in the game, and Ken Rosenthal, they really like what they have in their young second baseman.
They sure do, Joe. The amateur draft is Monday, and some people thought that the Cubs drafted Barney too high when they made him a 4th-round pick in 2007. But the Cubs saw him as a winner, a leader, a guy who had led Oregon State to back-to-back College World Series titles. I asked Mike Quaddy about him. He said, you hear that expression, guy will play for free. Well, in this case, no doubt in his mind, it's the truth.
I think somebody should be tested on that someday. Go ahead, play for free. Here is one. What a play by Carpenter. His first big league game, and he robs Barney of at least a double.
Matt Carpenter will remember this one. Playing in for the bunt made that play particularly difficult. Diving, gathering himself, phrase I've always liked.
And Lohse appreciated that effort by the rookie, who was the Cardinals minor league player of the year last year, was absolutely on fire with the bat during spring training. As Starlin Castro takes a strike. Matt Carpenter started out slowly at AAA. He was coming on. The Cardinals are still trying to fill in for David Freese, their third baseman, who's been out since May 1 with a broken hand. Carpenter is the latest to get the chance. And they certainly liked what they saw out of him during March down in Jupiter, Florida. 1 ball, 1 strike on Castro, who's 0 for 1. And now 1 and 2.
I think what the Cardinals have gotten from their young farm products is competition. They've got talent, certainly. But these guys are very, very competitive, and once they're called up, they want to stay here.
Well, this one's like a walk in the park compared to the last one. And Carpenter makes the last 2 plays after 2.5. We'll have Matt's first major league at bat. When we come back, no score. Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association as Matt Carpenter in his big league debut at the plate grounds out. So you can join Major League Baseball and the MLBPA Players Association in helping the victims of that devastating tornado recently in Joplin and others that have hit our country. You can support the relief effort by visiting hearttoheart.org to make a donation and learn how you can help. Joplin, Missouri, which was just ravaged by a recent hurricane, and then the hurricanes through the south, Alabama. Said hurricane, tornado. And the pictures from Joplin, which they're just literally having to rebuild parts of that city, taking off the upper floors of the hospital. What that did to that area just takes your breath away. So again, it's hearttoheart.org. You can join baseball and the MLBPA in helping. As Calso is in the hole 0-2 after Matt Carpenter grounded out to Barney to start the bottom of the third.
It is just heartrending to see some of those pictures to this day of what happened to that tiny city of 60,000 in southwest Missouri.
As Calso fouls it away, still 0-2. That particular tornado touched the Quaddy family. Manager Mike Quaddy in his first full year with the Cubs, as Descalso checks on Barney. 2 out. Kenny Rosenthal has more on that.
They've had a lot of bad weather in Chicago, obviously. It's hurt the Cubs, but Mike Quaddy said the tornado in Joplin really put it all into perspective. He has a cousin named Marie who lost her home in Joplin. She lives there. His dad's family is from southwest Missouri. The dad has been from southwest Missouri as well. So really, this hit home in a lot of ways for a lot of people.
Here is Lohse, and there is a ball up and away. And for Quaddy, who grew up, was born in Evanston, Illinois, Cub fan, a manager in the minor leagues for 17 seasons. Took over last year for Lou Piniella. Had the Cubs play great baseball, 24-13 finish, which was the second best record across baseball after taking over on the 23rd of August. And now he's getting his first full year, and he has it, Tim, stacked against him with the kind of injuries that his club has suffered so far in 2011.
Joining the Cubs in 2006 as their third base coach after managing in the Cubs system for 22 years.
Here is a 3-1 to Lohse. Full count. Wells trying to go perfect through the first 3. And his stuff has been crisp here today. That is bobbled. But Castro recovers, and after 3 here in St. Louis, 3 ground ball outs in the third by the Cardinals, no score. Game presented by Sprint is sponsored by the 2011 Ford F-150, built Ford Tough, by Klondike Ice Cream. What would you do for a Klondike bar? And by Ink from Chase. Introducing Jot, the real-time mobile expense tracking app. And a good day for ice cream on a 95-degree day in St. Louis with a heat index of over 100. Or a good day to sit in the shade dressed as a dog. Fourth inning, no score, and a ground ball to the right side as Descalso makes the play. Pena's out, one away. Carlos Pena, who struck out his first time up at first and third, one out, now grounds out. And he started the day hitting .217 as he plays under that one-year deal in Chicago. We've got to get into the conversation about Pujols. I mean, I've got Tim McCarver here and I've got Ken Rosenthal here. I'm not going to let this day go by without discussing something we talked about a few weeks ago when the Cardinals were hosting Cincinnati, as DeWitt took a ball and now a strike. It's 1-1. Ken Rosenthal, if you're there, what are the odds that Albert Pujols, in your mind, re-signs with the Cardinals after this season, as DeWitt flips one into right for a base hit?
Joe, I would have said at the start of the season 25%, but that number could be growing as his struggles continue. Let's face it, if this goes on and he doesn't come around, and everyone in baseball believes that he will, then his market is not going to be what we all anticipated. Have a typical Albert Pujols type season, it's difficult to imagine him getting that 10-year, $300 million deal that we've all been talking about.
1 on, 1 out. The batter is Soto, and the pitch is outside, ball 1. We'll give you a look at some of the numbers and how his season has unfolded so far here in 2011. Albert Pujols cutting off conversation about a new deal in spring training, saying he'll wait to the end of the year. Hit and run and a foul out of play. Here are the numbers and career averages and where Albert Pujols falls compared to those career averages here this season. A career .325 hitter. He's hitting .266. Career 16 home runs through 59 games. He's hit 10, and the RBIs are down compared to his career average through just under 60 games. That pitch is on the outside corner, strike 2 on Soto. There's no doubt that Pujols took a gamble, so to speak, by not signing a deal or cutting off conversation coming into this year. But I'm with Ken and the rest of people across baseball who believes that by the end of the year his numbers will be typical Albert Pujols numbers. That's down and away 2-2.
I mean, here's a guy, here it is, June 4th, and he already has 10 home runs and 33 RBIs. I mean, I hate that phrase, at this pace, but at his pace, you got to expect him to have an Albert Pujols year. Things may be down a little bit, but understandably, with contract negotiations going on and in his mind. And you know, when you think about it, Joe, with the attendance at Wrigley Field falling like it has, it's down 5,000 per game as we speak, that if the Cardinals don't sign Albert Pujols, then in my view he is ripe for taking as a member of the Chicago Cubs next year.
Giovanni Soto struck out for strikeout number 3 for Kyle Lohse, and the batter will be Tyler Colvin. And he pops it up. We'll continue the conversation if Terrio makes the play as he does in the bottom of the inning. Going there with the Cardinals batting and Pujols due up third. Cubs and Cards, no score. Never forget, go to ChevyBaseball.com to support youth baseball. Plus, enter to win one of 4 trips to the 2011 All-Star Game in Arizona and the keys to a new Chevrolet. As we go into the 4th inning, St. Louis still looking for their first base runner, and Terrio's trying to extend his hitting streak to 18 games. He takes a strike over the inside corner, and Randy Wells has been outstanding.
There have not been a lot of pitches in the middle of the plate from either pitcher this afternoon.
Cubs are figuring to get Matt Garza back on Monday when the Cubs are in Cincinnati. And they believe with Garza back, Wells rounding back into shape, Zambrano pitching well, Dempster. They've got the front 4 in a rotation that should be good enough to take care of things in this rotation. The question would be, where do their runs come from with Marlon Byrd, their all-star center fielder, out? Got hit in the face, pitched 2 Saturdays ago by Aceves in Boston. They have all of these injuries that they are dealing with. They like their bullpen. Defensively, they have not been very good. But it has been a disappointing start as they are 23-32 and 9 games out already. Still 2-2 Ontario. Marlon Byrd probably the Cubs' best player, and he is itching to get back. He's on this trip, and he is helping a lot of these young guys, these young outfielders, figure it out. Working with them in the outfield before games. He is just a really good major league player. As that one misses barely, full count. Terrio lined out to third his first time up. John Jay on deck, then Pujols.
Terrio should get a good pitch to hit right here. He's shaking for a fastball.
And it's foul.
Nope, got a slider.
So would you have struck out on that pitch, or would you have adjusted and fouled it away?
I probably would have
adjusted, say it.
No, I was not going to say that. I would have taken the collar and gone back and set out.
Put your gear back on.
Yeah, right.
Here is 3-2, and it's the Cardinals' first base runner of the day. We give you a direct TV game break. And it's Oakland and Boston in what was a wild 9th inning. 2 on, 1 out. Jason Varitek is ejected for arguing balls and strikes. A pitch later, after a base hit to tie the ball game, Jonathan Papelbon gets ejected by home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. Part of a 4-run 9th inning, a 7-7 game, and they're in the top of the 11th at Fenway Park. Here is a ground ball hard hit. Barney has only 1 play as Terrio gets to second with 1 out.
Well, that was a very, very good play by Darwin Barney on the in-between hop. Realizes with the runner running, no play at second, got his man at first. Is that the first time in eons since I've seen a battery ejected in the same half inning?
Right, certainly. You can't remember it. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, first Varitek and then Papelbon.
By the way, you can get every MLB game and the most in HD by calling 1-800-DIRECTV. As Albert Pujols, who lined out to third his first time up, could put the Cardinals on top with the first St. Louis hit of the day. Ball 1 down and away. By the way, Oakland just took the lead in the 11th inning at Fenway. And so after a 4-game losing streak that was snapped last night, Boston blew a 4-run 9th inning lead today, and they now trail in the 11th. Start of the day, Red Sox 2 out behind the Yankees in the AL East. It's ball 2-0.
One of the side effects of speed, when you have a guy who can run at second base, as Terrio can, then Darwin Barney is forced to hold him on. And the thing about Pujols, he is not a dead pull hitter. He can pull the ball obviously, but he hits a lot of balls into the hole at right field with runners on in scoring position.
Bats on the inside corner. It's 2-1. A 3-time MVP, 5-time All-Star Game starter. And after the at-bat, we'll continue our conversation about Pujols, again, a free agent at the end of this year.
When Albert Pujols is going well, there is nothing he cannot do on a baseball field.
That's into right center field. Will it carry? Yes. Out of here, it's 2-0 Cardinals in the fourth. If the question was, would it carry? And my answer was yes. On this hot day, it carried up and out.
First pitch, a slider that missed. Second pitch, a fastball with the count 2-0. There's a breaking ball, and the 2-1 fastball out of here.
And so now Albert Pujols, who homered last night, as Berkman steps in and takes the ball low, and now has hit 3 home runs in his last 6 games. The Cardinals and their fans wondering if this is the start of a tear for Albert Pujols. But that is exactly what you're talking about. A guy who can hit the ball out of the park with any count against any pitcher in any part of the park. That's in at the knees, a ball and a strike from Wells. That was the first hit that Randy Wells gave up.
That's why I've always been of the opinion, well, in the last year, that for the premium that you're going to pay for Albert Pujols, he's worth it.
I think it's 50-50 if you're going to put odds on it. And I think, you know, everybody looks at the Cardinals. I think you also have to look at Pujols and what he, first of all, it seems like he's dead set on seeing what he can get.
Oh, sure.
On the open market, and sure. I don't blame him one bit.
Right.
He's played himself into that position, and he is going to receive offers. The question is who will be able to pay. And it seems like, as you said, the Cubs would be a natural suitor. The Mets have a new minority owner. The Dodgers may have totally new ownership going into next season. Who knows how that whole thing's going to shake out. But Pujols is the one guy that'll be out there on the market as Berkman flies one into left center for out number 2. Caught by Colvin. Pujols, to me, Tim, is the one guy that's going to be out there on the market that if you sign him in December, has the ability to fill up your ballpark with fans who can't wait to buy tickets and come see the new star.
That's exactly right. You mentioned the New York Mets. I think the Mets are out. They've already said they're going to cut their payroll. It's a matter of how much, but I don't think the Mets can afford Albert Pujols.
I think the Angels are on the list. The Cubs are on the list.
Yep.
Maybe the Dodgers with new ownership. Who knows? And certainly the Cardinals. We have played 4. The guy we're talking about just did this. 2-0 St. Louis as we go to the 5th. Eight, 9, and 1 hitters for Chicago. Campana, then Wells, then Fukudome as the Cubs try to get something going here. Had a great chance in the first inning, couldn't do anything with it, and now they trailed 2-0 after Pujols just went deep, a 2-run shot in the fourth. Campana pops it up. Singled his first time and now checks on John Jay and left, one away. And that will bring in Wells with one out, nobody on. And here is the Jeep game summary. Albert Pujols hit his 11th, and he is starting to heat up. Lohse has been very good. In the heart of the order for the Cubs, 1 for 6. That group that is combined, no matter who's been in those spots, for the fewest home runs across baseball with only 9. Wells takes inside, ball 1. Cubs are in a youth movement out of desperation because of injuries, hoping to get Ramirez back, hoping to get Marlon Byrd back. Alfonso Soriano, their top home run hitter, is out with a pulled quad. Those are big pieces that are missing for Chicago as Wells falls in the hole, 1 and 2. Still 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about bringing young players up, when you're desperate to bring the young players up because of injuries. The Cardinals, a completely different story. The youngsters that they bring up, as we said in the opening, have more experience, far more experience than the Cubs youngsters.
That is strikeout number 4 for Lohse, 2 out here in the 5th inning. And a big Cardinal fan, Shea Trammell, is here at the ballpark this afternoon watching as we play in the 5th inning and seeing 2 out, nobody on, and St. Louis up 2-zip.
We have an expensive runner in the booth here tonight, this afternoon also, Freddie Couples. He's moonlighting. It's the reverse of moonlighting.
You just never know who you're going to run into, especially on a Tony La Russa managed ball club. There's a strike over the outside corner to Fukudome. There it is, one of the best ever. Lurking in the shadows, throwing stuff at us. And cooling off on this hot day in St. Louis. That is up and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Tomorrow it's Chris Carpenter, who has 1 win, taking on Carlos Zambrano, who has 5. That is outside, and the count 2-1. Combination of Garcia, McClellan, and Lohse. The man on the mound, 19 and 5 for the Cardinals as we play here on the 4th of June.
There is nothing impressive about Kyle Lohse other than the results. I mean, you look at him throw on the side, he won't dazzle you with speed, but he throws strikes and changes speed as well as anybody.
We still haven't gone into that injury, but I like what he told you and Kenny yesterday about when he was pitching without his best stuff. We'll get a chance now. A base hit up the middle with 2 out in the 5th will bring the tying run to the plate for Chicago. Kyle Lohse was a late addition to the Cardinals in 08. He went 15 and 6. Got a new big deal. In 2009 was hit by Ron Mayhay on May 23rd. Hit on the forearm, and he was on the disabled list 2 times. Fought through that injury even into last year, and then had groundbreaking surgery for a professional baseball player to relieve the nerve compression in his right forearm.
I have never seen a scar that jagged on a forearm before. Seen it other parts of the body, shoulders, elbows, but never in the forearm.
And that's what that tattoo is trying to cover up. The inside of the forearm of Kyle Lohse. Force out at second sends this game into the bottom of the 5th inning. We'll hear from Kenny about what Lohse said yesterday when we come back with the Cardinals up 2-0. sprint all together now. Nice day on the Mississippi. Not exactly like looking out at Lake Michigan.
No.
Which is one of the prettiest sights you're going to see out in the distance beyond any outfield wall across baseball, maybe second only to the Bay in San Francisco.
Toddling town with a great lake.
And with a 2-0 lead, Cardinals bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. Yadier Molina first up, and a strike. Hits the inside corner. I want to say that Randy Wells has made only one mistake, and that was the home run to Pujols, but I don't know that that was such a mistake. Pujols just able to hit it out into right center field last inning. Here's one into center, sending Campana back, one away.
That was a good play after turning the wrong way. Campana righted himself and made a nice play at the edge of the track. Turns to his right. Now all the way around to make it in the middle of the track.
I think this pitching performance really on each side is impressive because you can see how far the ball is carrying on this warm day in St. Louis. One out, it brings in Matt Carpenter, who has seen one pitch in the big leagues, now two. The first time he grounded out. This time he takes the ball. There are his numbers at AAA Memphis. He almost forced his way onto the Cardinals club out of spring training by hitting well over 300, was hitting 400 during the majority of the spring. Tapered off late and was sent out. Here is a 2-0. 2-1.
It's what major league pitchers have to do at the big league level that they don't do at the minor league level. Throw breaking balls for strikes behind in the count. And that's what Randy Wells has done well today.
2-2 on Carpenter. Cardinals hope to get David Freese back at the end of June, early July. Their third baseman who was really hitting well when he was hit by a pitch on May 1st. Broken left hand, and he's working his way back from that. Pena. 2 out. And that will bring in Daniel Descalso. With 2 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the 5th, and St. Louis up 2-0. Look ahead to what is tomorrow here on Fox, and I'll travel to Kansas. NASCAR racing, and they're in Kansas for the first time tomorrow. First pitch is a ball to Descalso, who has been a late inning RBI hero for St. Louis. Another one of the young players coming up in this system. Out in front of that changeup from Wells, and the count 1-1. On a list with Alan Craig and John Jay and Matt Carpenter now, and the young pitching of Eduardo Sanchez and Fernando Salas and Jason Mott. Tyler Green, Descalso. That's strike 2. Talked about that Oakland Red Sox game. The last battery to be thrown out of a game was Gerald Laird, who's with the Cardinals, and out with a broken finger in Jeremy Bonderman on the 4th of July 2010. That is a foul ball. Seems like the truck is kind of yelling at you down there.
Yeah, but no. Our question was for the truck and all those guys down there. Our question was the battery thrown out in a game in the same half inning. They have yet to define that.
Those two guys were not, Bonderman and Laird, not thrown out in the same half inning.
Okay.
Hey, truck! Exclamation point. Here is a pop-up. And DeWitt and Castro almost came together. Now they're changing their tune down there, and they're saying, "Hey, Tim, yes, it was."
Wait till this game's over.
The same half inning. I pity those guys and gals down there when Tim shows up 2-0 after 5. Sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country. By Michelin, a better way forward. And by the makers of new Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. Cubs have the right guys up there to try and do something about a 2-0 game here in the 6th inning. That means Castro, Pena, DeWitt. As Starlin, who doesn't turn 22 until next March, that's how young he is up on the count 2-0. There are the numbers for the 7-game winner, Kyle Lohse. That's ball 3, 3-0. Castro has bounced out twice. 3-1.
He'll get a pitch to hit here. Kyle Lohse throwing sliders out of the strike zone behind in the count, but with 3-1, different story.
Now full count. Still trying to get back to the story about Kyle Lohse and what he told you and Kenny yesterday. Which we will try to get in after this 3-2 pitch. And it's a base hit into left by Castro to start the 6th inning. Why don't we let Kenny talk about it with regard to Lohse, who is finally feeling healthy here in 2011.
Well, Joe, Kyle Lohse was telling us yesterday that when he was trying to fight through his condition, he had to increase his concentration just trying to make pitches. Well, now that he's healthy, that has actually helped him, because really he's trying to maintain the same level of concentration and just go from there. Here's a guy who once butted heads with Ron Gardenhire in Minnesota, was kind of emotional earlier in his career, and now he's really rather thoughtful and circumspect.
Kenny, thanks. And when Lohse was added to the Cardinals, it was his 5th organization. When he was signed as a 29-year-old, talk about him butting heads with Gardenhire in Minnesota. He has really matured and is one of the better right-handers in the league right now. Here's a fly ball deep right center, and this game is tied. A 2-run home run by Pena, And it's 2-2 here in the sixth.
Carlos Pena, knowing that Lohse was struggling with Castro to throw strikes, he threw 6 pitches. And Pena guessing fastball, he got it, popped it out of here. Home run number 8 on the year for Carlos Pena.
And just about in the same spot Pujols went deep. Hitting right-handed, each first baseman has hit a 2-run shot. And it's 2-2. As this one is foul down the right field line off the bat of DeWitt. Blake has a hit. He singled his last time up, 1 for 2. And hitting .295.
Experienced hitters like that follow a pattern of a pitcher. If a guy throws too many pitches, is struggling with one guy, they go up to look for a pitch. If they don't get it, they foul it off, swing through it. But he got it. And those big guys, those guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, if they get it, they're home runs. Often.
Counts 0-2 on DeWitt. Another foul. What happened with Lohse when he had that forearm situation was he lost the feel for his pitches. Fingertips trying to get that last touch of the ball before it leaves his hand. And that is now back. Here is the 0-2. And right down the middle, fooled him with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, strikeout number 5.
Little tailing fastball that tails back over the inside corner. Good pitch from Lohse.
And with 1 out, it'll bring in Giovanni Soto, who's 0 for 2. Soto struck out his last time, grounded out back in the second, and trying to get on in front of Tyler Colvin, who was trying to find his stroke from a year ago. Soto was the Rookie of the Year in the National League in 08. Hit 23 home runs and hasn't come close to that since. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2009, Soto hit .218 with 11 home runs. Last year, .280 with 17 home runs. And right now, he's at .217 with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. And is not too far from being removed off the disabled list. Was down with a bad groin. Counts 3-1 on Soto. And a fly ball into left center field. Well hit. And it one-hops the wall. Stays in play, and Soto has a 1-out double. So there's the go-ahead run for Chicago in the 6th inning, and it's Soto who has the Cubs' 3rd extra base hit of the day.
Soto not a fast runner, otherwise it's an easy triple. That play short hopping the wall. Rasmus, again a 3-1 fastball that Soto got right down the pipe, but not a fast runner and held to a double.
Double number 10, and now Tyler Colvin, who hit 20 home rookie. In 2010, you see his average 100 was sent out. This one is foul, and after the injury to Alfonso Soriano, he went down with a bad quad on Memorial Day Monday. Colvin's back up. At 260 at AAA, 2 triples, a home run. And over the first 28 games before he was sent out, he just 113. Runner at second with 1 out. In the 0-1. Out in front of it, strike 2. On deck is the number 8 hitter, Campana. No action for the Cubs in their bullpen with Wells due up after Campana. Go ahead run at second, 1 out, and that's over but low. And ball 1. Soto with a double. And here is a 1-2 pitch. Off the end of the bat into right. Berkman is there, 2 out. And with Campana walking in, we'll tell you in celebration of World Environment Day tomorrow, Budweiser is asking guys to skip shaving with a goal of saving 1 million gallons of water. Pledge to skip shaving anywhere from 2 to 3 days to 3 weeks. Every gallon counts. More than 2,270 Anheuser-Busch employees took the pledge and stopped shaving for the last 2 weeks, saving nearly 160,000 gallons of water, including Dave Peacock.
That fellow we just showed has saved a lot of water over the years.
Brian Wilson, the closer of the San Francisco Giants, has saved plenty of water over the years.
Games and water.
Breaking ball is in for a strike to Tony Campana. So if you see some shaggy looking executive walking around downtown St. Louis, odds are he's got a nice suit on but a beard. A few days of growth. He works at Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah, well, it's Sunday also. Not working.
Here's the 0-1. Strike 2. There's Blake DeWitt. He's done his part.
Question about Tony Campana: is he old enough to shave? A baby face, huh?
Here is an 0-2. And a little floater. That could give the Cubs a lead, and it does. 3-2 Chicago here in the 6th inning on a 2-out RBI hit by Campana, his second big league RBI.
May not be old enough to shave, but he's old enough to hit in the big leagues and drives in the tie-breaking run that gives the Cubs their first lead of the afternoon. Now you have a whole different situation with Wells coming up. We said you can't run if you're the 8th place hitter. But now with Wells up, if you're thrown out, then you'll have a pinch hitter in the top of the 7th inning for the pitcher in all probability, because Wells is right at the ceiling of his pitch count.
So you could have that battle between Campana, who can fly, and Molina, who can throw. Strike 1 on Wells. Here is an 0-1 pitch from Lohse. And a line drives a base hit into right. Berkman over to cut it off. Campana makes it to third, and it's 1st and 3rd with 2 out as Randy Wells gets his first hit of the year.
It is fun to watch runners who can fly around the bases, and Tony Campana is a rarity for Cubs fans, because over the years they have not had a lot of speed because of Wrigley Field. I think that's been a mistake. But Tony Campana gives the Cubs an unusual element, speed.
Their first base coach, Bobby Dernier, he could run.
Yes, he could. Signed originally with the Phillies and went to the Cubs in the early 80s when Dallas Green went to Chicago and ran the organization.
Jason Mott will crank it up, but right now it's Fukudome, who's had good swings against Lohse, digging in to try and add to a 1-run 6th inning lead. St. Louis in the bottom of the inning will have Lohse's spot first up, then Terrio and John Jay. Key spot in this game for Kyle Lohse and for Kosuke Fukudome. First pitch swinging, that's down the left field line. That ball is fair and a double. In to score is Campana, and it's 4-2 Cubs here in the 6th, and Fukudome has 3 hits on the day. Well-placed double that hopped out of play off the bat of Kosuke Fukudome.
And because of the 2 balls that Fukudome had hit earlier into left center field, John Jay understandably playing him toward left center field. So down the left field line was wide open for Fukudome.
And now time called as Lohse walks behind the mound. Molina with that slow walk out there.
It's one of the hardest conversations a catcher has to have with a pitcher. When you go out there and the pitcher knows full well that you're out there to give the guy in the bullpen time to warm up. I often thought about maybe saying that just one time to a guy. Hey, look, I'm strapped. I'm out here to give the guy in the bullpen time to warm up, but I never did.
And that guy is Mott, and he will enter here in the 6th inning. Tony La Russa goes to the home plate umpire, and we may have a double switch with the number 9 spot due to lead off in the bottom of the inning. We know this much. Mott is coming in to pitch. The Cubs have broken loose. A 4-run 6th as they lead by 2.
Schumacher. Schumacher goes in the 9th spot, and the pitcher goes in the 8th spot.
All right.
New pitcher is Mott.
All right, thank you.
There's all the information you need to know. Marvin Hudson, the home plate umpire, wearing a microphone, and Tony La Russa telling the world his double switch. So Skip Schumacher is batting 9th, playing second base. The pitcher is Mott. There are his numbers, 2nd and 3rd with 2 out, and a foul out of play off the bat of Darwin Barney. Wells is a key part to this inning. His base hit led to the RBI double by Fukudome, which made it 4-2, and that's the score. 9th man to bat in the inning is Darwin Barney, who led the Cubs in hits during the month of May. A 4-run 6th inning for Chicago. And the count 1-1 from the hard-throwing Jason Mott. Mott is another former catcher.
Yeah, the third one on 2 rosters today, one on the Cardinals. May see another one in Carlos Marmol if this score stays tight.
2 hops to Terrio, and that ends the inning. But the Cubs get 4, highlighted on a 2-run shot by Carlos Pena. That tied it. Cubs get 2 more, lead by 2 after 5.5. John Jay against the right-hander Randy Wells. And Randy Wells made that pitch to Pujols. That's the only hit he's given up, the 2-run shot into right center field after a leadoff walk. Otherwise, Wells has been terrific.
Well, I'll say, lopsided is this game as far as hits are concerned. 11 for the Cubs, only 1 for the Cardinals.
And that will continue as Schumacher in his first at bat flies to left. Colvin puts it away, 1 out. So this is exactly what the Cubs were hoping for and what they're getting out of Randy Wells in his second start back from the disabled list. Went only 4 in his return. But so good here today. Here's Terrio, who is running out of time, maybe 2 at bats, including this one left, barring extra innings, to try and extend his career high hitting streak beyond 17 games. Ball 1 up. Terrio has walked and scored and lined out. Strike 1. Cardinals have given up some defense in order to make this offense a little more explosive, not just coming into this year, and that includes Terrio, but also with the departure and the disabling of Matt Holliday and David Freese, their third baseman. Good changeup as Terrio fooled, and that's strike 2.
Yeah, the Cardinals with one of the best shortstops around defensively, Brendan Ryan. He was shipped to Seattle. Cardinals signed Terrio, but Brendan Ryan has had a bit of a resurgence offensively for the Mariners. He's batting second now for Eric Wedge's crew.
And they're one of the hotter clubs in baseball.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of pitching. Pitch is high, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and at the start of the day, Seattle just a game and a half out of the lead in the AL West behind the Rangers. There is a base hit. And for Theriot, career high 18-game hitting streak. And he's on to bring up the tying run, John Jay, here in the 6th. Jay is 0 for 2. As Tim mentioned, that's only the 2nd Cardinal hit of the day. And that gets them stirring around out in the Cub bullpen.
It looks like Sean Marshall, the left-hander. Yep, he is. I believe that's Sean Marshall. The Cubs, by the way, the only major league team with 4 left-handers in the bullpen. They have 4 left-handers, 2 right-handers.
Graybo, Maine, James Russell, and Sean Marshall, who is really good. First pitch is a ball to John Jay. Now Soto goes out to buy time.
Yeah, I think this is a minor mistake by Mike Quaddy. I think you've got to have Marshall ready, because you're not going to buy time to bring Marshall in, because the guy who's on deck is Albert Pujols. And Marshall the only guy up. So why wouldn't you have a right-hander up with Marshall? A guy really like Marmol, because this is almost a save situation with Pujols on deck, even though it's not the 9th inning.
Right now the Cubs are in no position to play around with any lead.
No.
Not taking on the first place team, not trying to get wins while they get guys healthy. It's been a frustrating start to the year. Here comes a 1-0 to Jay. Good pitch from Wells. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the next on the inside corner, good pitch, strike 2. And just to be clear, you're not suggesting that Marmol come into the game in the 6th inning, but you have to treat it with as much in the bullpen getting ready as you can with a guy like Pujols on deck. And a strikeout for out number 2. That is the first strikeout of the day for Randy Wells, and it's a big one.
On the changeup, Jay goes down. I think with that stepping stone bullpen that most teams have, you have a guy for the 7th, a guy for the 8th, a guy for the 9th. I think teams should be a little more flexible in the usage of those guys. For instance, I don't think it would be wrong if you want to make a move here to bring in Kerry Wood to pitch in the 6th inning. But he's a 7th inning guy. And Marshall's your 8th inning guy, and Marmol is your closer.
First pitch to Pujols, who homered his last time up, and who has hit 3 over his last 6 games, is up and in, ball 1. With a guy like Berkman on deck, a switch hitter who's better batting left-handed, and who hit a 3-run home run here last night left-handed. You have to believe if Wells doesn't get Pujols, that's it. That's into the gap in left center field. Theriot will come all the way around and score on an RBI double by Albert Pujols. It's 4-3. And that should be it for Wells.
And it will be another look at Albert Pujols. He has homered the other way to drive in 2, and now he doubles to left center to drive in the other one. He's driven in all 3 Cardinal runs this afternoon.
And now the Cubs and Mike Quade will turn Berkman around, make him bat right-handed as Marshall comes in. Tying run at second, 2 out. 4-3 Cubs leading here in the 6th. The better members of any bullpen in the league. And he is into the game with a tying run at second, 2 out, and Lance Berkman at the plate.
So dependable. Last year, he was in 80 games, by far his career high.
Strike 1 to Lance Berkman, who's 0 for 2. Lance Berkman, among switch hitters, has the second best career slugging percentage in the history of the game, second best to Mickey Mantle. He just produces runs. Trying to drive home Pujols and tie this game. Strike 2, and he almost took Oquendo's shoe with him. See where he ranks among switch hitters all time. On base percentage. Talked about the slugging percentage, number 2, home runs 5th, RBIs 12th. Berkman, who hit just .248 last year, has had a resurgence in his first year with the Cardinals. Marshall. Watches Berkman take a rip.
That was a mistake. Not all mistakes get hit hard. Some get fouled back, and that was a mistake that was fouled back. Too much a part of the plate, right down the pipe, in fact. Sometimes with an experienced hitter up there, it shocks them that the pitch is so good to hit.
Cardinal hitting coach Mark McGuire watching, and a 0-2 pitch. And a little flare into center. Berkman has tied this game, 4-4 in the 6th.
Well, he misses the cookie right down the pipe. That was a pitch before, but he doesn't miss the breaking ball almost on the ground following that pitch down the heart of the plate, and that ties it.
I mean, what Lance Berkman has done here with the Cardinals is remarkable.
It really is.
Because I think, Tim, for the most part, people thought, I'm not going to say he was finished, but his best days of producing runs were long behind him.
Those people were wrong.
There he goes. And Rasmus hits it foul. Let's hear from Lance himself about what he expected coming into this year, if he expected all of this.
I mean, not real. I didn't know. You get to a certain point, and you know, baseball is such a game of confidence, and if you've been down for a while, it seems like it's hard to get it back. But I felt like deep down, I felt like there was a chance that I could get back to being a good player, and
well, he has done that. As Rasmus takes the ball, and to be fair, Berkman is in better shape here in 2011 than how he finished his days with the Astros or at the end of the year last year with the Yankees.
And plus he's healthy, with the exception of that nagging right wrist problem. I remember we talked last year that he really never had a chance to show the Yankees what kind of a hitter he had been in the National League for so long.
I mean, his numbers, when you start going year by year and looking at his production and his home runs.
326 home runs with the Astros.
Rasmus hits it to Barney. The inning is over. Each starter is out of it. Now it's a battle of the bullpens. And Albert Pujols serving notice to the rest of the NL Central. He's getting hot with the weather. Scored the tying run. We're 4-4 after 6.
Expect the unexpected.
This could be big.
This is going to get dicey. Boys, have at it. These races are just so unpredictable.
NASCAR on Fox is making its first trip to Kansas.
Presented by Sprint. Rolls into the 7th inning on a hot but beautiful day in St. Louis. And Jason Mott, who's got one of the more violent deliveries he'll come across, gets a foul for strike one. It's Castro, Pena, DeWitt. As a lefty, Trevor Miller gets ready for the guy on deck or the guy after him. Two lefties coming up. After Castro started that rally last inning.
Excuse me, Joe. I think to start that violent delivery, Mott has that unusual way he comes set.
1 out.
You've heard of hitters with closed stances. Jason Mott is a pitcher who starts his windup or his set delivery from a closed stance. Watch that left foot pointed toward third base. The beginning of that violent delivery that you talked about.
So here comes Tony La Russa. And Mott's not happy. He's walking around behind the mound with his eyes to the sky. Trevor Miller is coming in. Hope you enjoyed that replay of the violent delivery, because that's the last you'll see of it today. Tied at 4 in the 7th.
Nope.
Next week, Fox Saturday Baseball back at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. There are the matchups. And here is the new pitcher, Trevor Miller, the left-hander, to deal with Carlos Pena, Blake DeWitt in a tie game 7th inning.
Those 25 games and 25 appearances, Trevor Miller leads the Cards in that department. Tony La Russa, as much as anybody, almost formulated the left-right, left-right, and does it about as well as anybody, making sure that he has plenty of left-handers in that bullpen for situations such as this.
Pena has homered today. He's 1 for 3, and he takes a ball down and away. Now Miguel Batista gets loose.
I think the transition over the last 40 years in baseball has changed because of what you see during the last 3 innings of a game. So many matchups, and I think for that reason, it's tougher to hit in the last 3 innings of a game now. Of course, today you have the shadows, the old shatters.
Sounded like the old prospector there.
I did.
Here's a 2-0. A strike from Trevor Miller.
But the shadows do present yet another problem. You've got a left-hander and got a hit in the dark.
They count 2-1. With one out, nobody on. Pena rips one off the glove of Pujols, and nobody covers.
Trevor Miller got caught there, thinking the ball was going to be caught. It's going to go down as a hit. I don't think it should be. I think that ball's got to be caught, number one. And if it's not caught, I think it's a 3-1. But Trevor Miller saw it, assumed it was going to get caught, stood there, and Albert didn't come up with it. And it's going to be ruled a hit for Pena.
So it is a base hit, and it brings in Blake DeWitt, who's 1 for 3. Ball hit in the heel of Pujols' glove. Former Gold Glove Award winner in the National League. And Albert, who fires it back at Trevor Miller, upset that he let that one get away. Pujols, who has played third base twice this year because of the injury to Freese, including once this week. Hadn't played over there since 2002 and handled himself like he never moved from that position. DeWitt fooled on the pitch, and the count 0-1 on Blake DeWitt. On deck is Soto. The bullpen is Batista. Playing the matchups, this would be it for Trevor Miller. Lefty on lefty. Here is the 0-1. Off the end of the bat, strike 2. Just sticking the bat out, a pop-up on the infield for out number 2. Each first baseman has hit a home run here today, and we give you the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight. Pujols, a 2-run shot. Carlos Pena answered in almost the same spot. Pujols in the 4th, and then Pena in the 6th. And just as Pujols and Pena give the Cards and Cubs the edge, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men. Mustache and Beard will have our second double switch. Hopefully home plate umpire Marvin Hudson's microphone is still on, and we'll play it for you when we come back here in the 7th.
Batista, and he'll go in the 5th spot for Rasmus. And Craig will go in the pitcher spot.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
And that's the only part of it that the home plate umpire Marvin Hudson cares about, where they're hitting. Where they're playing in the outfield now is switched around. As you look at the numbers for Batista, who is into his 21st game of the year, Alan Craig is now playing left. As you heard Tony La Russa say, Colby Rasmus is out. And that means that John Jay switches from left into center. Meanwhile, at the plate, that's where the story is, and that's Giovanni Soto, who has a double, a run scored, batting with 2 out, a runner at first, and a tie game in the top of the 7th. And on the first pitch, he pops out to right. Berkman hauls it in. It's time to stretch. Tied at 4 in St. Louis.
Kansas Speedway. Expect the unexpected.
This could be big.
Is it going to get dicey? Boys, have at it. These races are just so unpredictable.
NASCAR on Fox is making its first trip to Kansas.
That is tomorrow right here in high definition. We hope that you tune it in as we go into the bottom of the 7th inning here in St. Louis with Yadier Molina first up. Hitting .320 on the year. He's 0 for 2. He's fly to right, fly to center. Matt Carpenter will follow. And then Alan Craig. Strike 1. We mentioned his first time up. Molina's been hitting over 400 since May 15th. Best average in baseball. A .262 hitter last year. Hammering at that pitch, and now it's 0-2.
I think that's why it's proper to have Blake DeWitt more or less on the line to guard against extra base hits at third base, because of Marshall's breaking ball that goes down and into a powerful hitter like Molina.
On 0-2. Ball 1 up and away. Seven hits in 22 appearances against this left-hander Marshall, who gave up the game-tying hit to Berkman last inning, and that's another foul. Then Marshall retired Rasmus, and each bullpen is quiet at the moment. Good game here in St. Louis. Cubs need to get one here on the road. They had won 5 straight before losing here last night, won 5 straight here at Busch Stadium against the Cardinals. And Molina's on with a leadoff hit. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Sprint, is sponsored by DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV. And by your local Lexus dealer. And by Men's Rogaine Foam. Use it or lose it. Now the Cubs are looking for a bunt. With Carpenter at the plate, Blake DeWitt pulled way in at third. And Lohse, at least on that first pitch, was letting Carpenter swing. Instead, he took ball 1.
Yeah, that gives the infielders a lot more to think about. But Schumacher looked like he was hitting all the way. If this were the 8th or 9th inning, there'd be a pinch runner for Molina, but not in the 7th.
That's down the left field line, slicing foul. Sean Marshall trying to get around that leadoff hit. He is ready with a 1-1, but Carpenter gets time. So Matt Carpenter, who was called up, did not get into the lineup last night. Took it all in and now getting the start in this great rivalry. Taking outside ball 2.
Tony Lohse probably thinking back to spring training and how Carpenter hit left-handed pitching. This is highly unusual for a Tony Lohse move to allow a young man in only his 3rd major league at bat, lefty against one of the tough lefties in the league, to not be bunting here.
And instead he flies one into center. That is out number 1. Back to first is Molina. DirecTV game break. 2 on, 2 out. Clayton Kershaw had been dealing, but Joey Votto with a 3-run shot, his 8th of the year, scoring Stubbs and Phillips, and it's 4-1 Cincinnati. Now 7-3 Cincinnati in the top of the 8th. You can get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. It brings in Alan Craig. Joey Votto, who led the NL in batting average coming in, goes deep for Cincinnati. Alan Craig has been hitting .455 since the 19th of May with 3 homers, 11 RBIs. So much so that Tony Lohse and Jose Oquendo are giving Alan Craig a crash course on playing second base so they can get his bat in the lineup more often. Strike 1. Alan Craig is another system player, a guy coming up through the Cardinal organization and finally getting his chance. He's been with the organization since '06. Strike 2. Last year got into 44 games, had 114 at bats, hit .246 with 4 home runs. But this is a guy, Alan Craig, who's hit as many as 26 home runs in the minor leagues. Did that in '09 in Memphis. Molina at first, 1 out. And ball 1 up and away to Craig, with Kerry Wood getting loose for the Cubs in their pen.
Once again, for the young hitters coming up for the Cardinals, the reason that injuries do not bother the Cardinals like they do a lot of clubs. These guys have adapted to 1 or 2 at-bats per game. That's the way Tony La Russa clubs are operated. Some young players can't do it, but they adjust to it when they're in AA, AAA ball. And they're called up, they're ready.
La Russa talking about Chris Maloney and Pop Warner, the AAA and AA managers, the Cardinals organization, saying the job they've done preparing these guys to play at this level has been exceptional. Good breaking ball for out number 2. That had Alan Craig absolutely frozen.
From nowhere to get Craig.
And it'll bring in the left-handed hitting Skip Schumacher. Second at bat for Schumacher, who saw one pitch and flied out to left to start the 6th. Wells went 5 2/3. Marshall took over last inning and now trying to work through the 7th. Strike 1. 5 weeks on the DL was Skip Schumacher. Rushed back into action after only 15 at bats in 3 extended spring training games. So Tony La Russa said he probably wasn't ready, but we needed him. So after 5 weeks on the shelf with a right tricep strain, Schumacher's trying to find his stroke. The 1-1. Castro ends the inning. We go to the 8th here in St. Louis. Cardinals and Cubs tied at 4. You can visit your local Lohse to cast your Scott's MLB All-Star ballot and enter for a chance to win a VIP All-Star Week experience. Compliments of Scott's. All-Star game coming up on the 12th of July in Phoenix. And that's at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific right here on Fox.
Be 110 in the shade in the desert, but will not be playing in the shade, playing in the closed confines of a surprising Arizona Diamondbacks team. Only a half a game out from the San Francisco Giants in the National League West.
32 wins, same total as the Giants, and Kirk Gibson has his team pitching and playing well.
Well, I should say.
Miguel Batista is back to work. He finished off last inning, and now here's a fly ball to center off the bat of Colvin. 1 out. Talking about the Diamondbacks and what they've been doing of late. See their record on the 30th of April. They were 6.5 out. They've won 8 of 10. And they're up to 32 wins. They're a half game out. Ian Kennedy, who was a former member of the Yankees and part of that 3-team trade that saw Granderson go from Detroit to the Yankees and Austin Jackson go to Detroit as Campana is taken care of by Terrio. Ian Kennedy 6-2 for Arizona. Campana doing what Mike Quade talked about before the game, playing small ball, basically just slapping at it, and he almost turned it into an infield hit.
Yeah, you really have to shorten up. You can see showing bunt, then he slaps it toward the left side. Terrio on a nice quick delivery to Pujols.
And now Brad Snyder will come off the bench and bat for Marshall to win an inning and a third. 2 hits, no runs, did allow an inherited runner to score, no walks, 1 strikeout. Kerry Wood is next in. And a strike is into Snyder, who was one of the call-ups and a guy who was hitting .342 at AAA Iowa in 38 games, 7 home runs. Was called up last year in September, got into 12 games with Chicago, hit .185, but is trying to draw off that experience, getting another chance here in 2011 from Ohio.
It used to be a saying, and in my mind it's an accurate saying, you never judge a player in the spring or the fall.
Ball 2. Well, you can be fooled in spring training for sure.
Right.
And then during September with call-ups for teams that are out of it, it just doesn't have the same pressure, the same feel as a month like June, July, August. 2-2 on Snyder. Bottom of this inning, St. Louis will have the top 3 in their lineup against Kerry Wood. And the strikeout ends the inning. Bottom of the 8th rolls in. 4-4 is the score. And Albert Pujols coming up third for St. Louis. He's already homered. is sponsored by Chrysler, imported from Detroit, by Viagra. Bottom of the 8th inning, and Kerry Wood is the third pitcher of the day for Chicago. Takes over for Sean Marshall, and Wood is trying to keep it 4-4. He'll deal with the top of the lineup for St. Louis, Terrio, Jay, and then Pujols. Terrio base hit his last time up. That extended his career high hitting streak to 18 games. And a ball up and away. Terrio's streak is the longest by a Cardinal shortstop since 1964.
Get out. Good one.
Fly ball into right. He is caught by Fukudome.
Dick Groat.
Don't get into the specifics. Time for a DirecTV game break. And it's J.D. Drew in this back and forth game in the 14th. That shot into the gap beats Oakland in a final of 9-8. You can get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. I think Groat is a good guess.
Well, it had to be either Dick Groat or Dal Maxfield, but I don't think Maxie played 18 games in a row in '64 because he was the backup infielder. He started every game in the World Series the Cardinals played against the Yankees. It would almost assuredly be Dick Groat.
Pitch is up and in, and swung on and missed by Jay to count 1-1.
Dick Groat was the smartest base runner I ever met. Was not a fast guy. All-American at Duke, I think in '54. He was not a fast guy, but he was never thrown out at bases, and if he was taking a calculated chance.
Here's a 1-2 to Jay. Up and in.
First guy that I had ever heard talk about risk and base running. And Tony La Russa, interestingly, talking about risk to us today before the game, saying it's all part of the decision-making process. He was specifically talking about Matt Holliday when he said it. Take a risk running him back out there.
And trying to get him through a quad strain that didn't work out, so the Cardinals eventually put him on the DL. John Jay at the plate, Albert Pujols on deck. And Kerry Wood can't make the play. What a play by Barney, 2 out. Brilliant by Darwin Barney for the second out of the inning.
Well, what made it brilliant, I think, Joe, is the ball hugged the ground. It never came up. Boy, a fine play by the Cubs second baseman.
And a guy who's still learning the position, a longtime shortstop.
Well, that helps him. On the right side of the infield, he's got a shortstop's arm at second base, similar to Robinson Cano of the Yankees.
Here is Albert Pujols. Ken Rosenthal talked to Pujols hitting coach Mark McGwire. What did he say, Kenny?
Doubts, and he basically said, listen, it all comes down to pitch selection and trusting your hands. And he also said this: I truly believe that at the end of the year, he'll be exactly where he's been the last 10 years. These things happen. I don't care who you are. Mantle, Ruth, Maris, Yastrzemski. Everyone goes through it, but he'll be better because of it.
Here is a pitch upstairs for a ball to Pujols, who has homered, driven in a run with a double, and scored. One ball, one strike. Here's what Albert Pujols has done today. The 4th inning into right center. That ball carried out. And then a shot into the gap in left center for an RBI double. Now he's hit. That hit him up high, the back of the shoulder or the arm, somewhere there.
It looked to me like Albert did two things on his way to first. Number one, he didn't want to rub it because you don't want to give the pitcher the satisfaction of that. It was a breaking ball anyway. And number two, you don't want to look at the pitcher. No glaring or anything like that. It was a breaking ball. So no intent by Kerry Wood, obviously.
77-mile-per-hour breaking ball that didn't break. Pujols is on base for the third time today. It brings in Berkman, who had the biggest swing of the bat here last night. A first inning 3-run home run. A ball from Wood.
Talking about risk and base running, it would not be a risky play at all for Albert Pujols, who has 5 stolen bases and has not been caught, to try to steal here.
Kerry Wood is getting wild as that one almost caught the kneecap of Lance Berkman for ball 2. And now Giovanni Soto out to talk. With the pitcher's spot on deck, Tyler Green is in the on-deck circle. Berkman tied the game with a 2-out RBI hit to center, batting right-handed. And now with his shadows creeping all the way across home plate, now all the way across the pitcher's mound, Berkman has more to deal with than just the pitching stuff of Kerry Wood. It's because of shadows like this that hitters do not like late afternoon starts. The 2-1. 2-2. Kerry Wood hit Pujols. Had the count 2-0 on Berkman. Now it's 2-2. Now it's full and no throw down to first as Pujols had wandered off the bag of that pitch in the dirt.
A lot of times managers will order the first baseman to play behind the runner at first base. I don't think you do that here in the 8th inning, where Pujols, if he scores, would be the go-ahead run. And they are not doing that. Pena holding Pujols close. I think that's the right play by Mike Quade. That extra step or two, if Berkman hits a gapper, might be the difference between scoring and not.
So Pujols gets the head start and Berkman fouls it back. The right fielder Fukudome could not be any deeper. See him tucked back into right. And a guard against the extra base hit.
Yeah, you want to modify that in this situation.
A strikeout ends the inning, and we go to the 9th inning.
That's the best way to modify it.
As Kerry Wood pitches a scoreless 8th, he gets Berkman on the strikeout, and we're still tied at 4. Derek Jeter continues his quest of 3,000 hits as the Yankees visit Wrigley Field to take on the Cubs. Right here on Fox Saturday Baseball, June 18th. He is 16 away, and the Yankees play at the Angels tonight. Angels won last night behind Jared Weaver 3-2. And there's a strike to Fukudome, who's had a big day. 3 hits, 2 doubles, 1 RBI. And the closer for the Cubs, Carlos Marmol, getting loose for Chicago, as that one rides down and away 1-1 on Fukudome. On deck is Barney, then Castro. And now ball 2. Miguel Batista relieved in the 7th, worked a perfect 8th. He's retired 4 in a row. See, Fukudome's been good in the late innings.
Fukudome's a better ball player than he was 3 years ago when he was a rookie from Japan.
Ball 3.
Talked about modifying things. Speaking of defenses, in the last half inning, Fukudome has modified that hitting stroke. That's a different stance that he's had in the past 3 years.
Hard hit, but right at Terrio. 1 out. We're talking about 3,000 hits when we go back to May 13th, 1958.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial around first! On his way to second with a double! Holy cow, he came through!
The great Harry Carey on a pinch hit double off Mo Drabowski in the 6th inning. At the time, Musial was the 8th player in MLB history to get to 3,000 hits.
That's the only time that a player has ever had 3,000 hits at Wrigley Field. And Derek Jeter could be the second one.
They are there in 2 weekends. And again, Jeter is 16 hits away. 1 ball, 1 strike on Darwin Barney, who's 1 for 4.
George Vesey, the great columnist for the New York Times, has just written a book about Stan Musial. It's out now. It's supposed to be fabulous. I haven't read it.
The 1-1 on the outside corner, strike 2.
But I am honored to say that I've been invited to be on Charlie Rose a week from Monday night with Bob Costas and George Vesey to talk about Stan Musial. What an honor that is. Number 6.
And I'm sure Stan is watching.
Guaranteed.
Here's a 1-2 outside. I obviously got to know Stan as an older man and as a friend of my father's, but I can tell you firsthand, and hearing the stories from my dad, never as a superstar been a better person than Stan Musial, and that continues to this day. The 2-2 pitch with 1 out, nobody on, is lined into right. Berkman makes the play, 2 out. So people wondered how Lance Berkman would get along out in the outfield. He hadn't played out there in over 5 years, and he hasn't missed a step.
Nope.
I mean, he's not fast, but he is smart, plays angles well, gets a good jump, can make up for a lack of speed. And he hauls in that line drive off the bat of Barney. Here is Castro.
That's one risk that the Cardinals have taken that has paid off big time so far.
That's up and away, ball 1. Pitcher's spot is due up for St. Louis in the bottom of this 9th inning to lead it off. Then Molina and Matt Carpenter, the rookie. If anybody gets on, Alan Craig. Wood is in the game. Marmol's in the bullpen. Miguel Batista with 2 1/3 perfect innings. Go to the bottom of the 9th in St. Louis. Cardinals batting tied at 4. For the Dodgers, Sandy Koufax in 64 threw a no-hitter against the Phillies. And then Don Drysdale in 68, his 6th consecutive shutout came against the Pirates. Mark Hamilton is off the bench and batting for the pitcher Batista. Just up from AAA, his 2nd tour with the Cardinals this year, takes a strike. He's hitting really well at AAA Memphis. That's high, ball 1. It's 3 for 15 earlier in the year. In 25 games at AAA was hitting .391. He's got some pop. And he takes strike 2. Good pitch from Kerry Wood. Bottom of the 9th inning, tied at 4, Cubs and Cardinals. That's out number 1. Bottom fell out of that pitch from Kerry Wood.
Great breaking ball from Wood. Stays on top of it. Watch the downward motion. Ooh, that is wicked. That's Koufaxian.
And with 1 out, here is Molina. Wood trying to send this game to the 10th when the Cubs would have their 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Pena, DeWitt, and Soto. That is out of play, strike 1. Molina has a hit. He's 1 for 3. Fly to right, fly to center, and then single to center in the 7th. That's strike 2. The guy who has taken over as the closer for the Cardinals, Fernando Salas, is getting loose in front of Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinals bullpen coach. Molina spoils the pitch, still 0-2. Molina lays off ball one. Molina's hit 3 home runs. Trying to get on in front of the rookie Matt Carpenter. That is a fair ball. And out number 2. And with that, the man that stands between us and extra innings is the guy making his major league debut, Matt Carpenter, who had 2 home runs at AAA and is looking for his first big league hit. Strike 1. Tony La Russa's team has just 1 walk-off win this season. Strike 2. And a little flare in the left is the first major league hit from Matt Carpenter. And he's going to press it into a double.
Good time to try it. With 2 outs and nobody on, you try to get on second base. Good base running by Carpenter. It's one of those situations where that no doubles defense kind of burns you because you play too deep in the opposite field and you can't get to a ball like that to make a play on him at second base. Football coaches talk about that often, about going into that prevent defense too early, and baseball's similar in that regard.
Mike Quade is out to talk, and I don't think right now, at least my opinion would be, Alan Craig is too hot.
I agree.
To pitch to, and Skip Schumacher doesn't look like he is back into normal hitting mode after being on the disabled list. This would be an easy decision for me.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. Even though you're going against the odds, you got a right-handed hitter up there. I mean, pitch around would be the other decision, but it does not look like they're going to do it. They're going to go right after a red-hot hitter for the Cardinals. And I agree with you. I think you walk him and pitch to Schumacher.
Alan Craig is hitting .455 since the 19th of May. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, 0 for 1 in this game. Breaking ball is wicked and in for strike 1.
Sometimes when you try to pitch around the hitter and you get ahead of him quickly, that means you almost have to pitch to him, and that's the pitch on which you're beaten later.
Carpenter can run at second. He's the winning run with 2 out. In the air into right. Fukudome over to grab it, and we're going to the 10th. So the Cubs came right after Alan Craig. His flyout sends us to the 10th, tied at 4. July. Baseball's biggest stars will gather together in the Arizona desert for one spectacular night. It's the summer's biggest event, as we bring you every thrilling moment of the All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. Fernando Salas takes over as we go to the 10th. And that means for Chicago, Carlos Pena, Blake DeWitt, and Giovanni Soto. Ball one outside. Salas blew his first save during the week against the Giants. He had been 10 for his first 10. But on Wednesday, he blew a save. The Cardinals lost that game in 11. But otherwise, he has filled a big need for this team. Pulled the string a bit as the left-hander Russell and the right-hander Marmol get loose.
How many teams can you think of that have changed closers about a month into the season? Cardinals starting out the season with Ryan Franklin as their closer, and now Salas. And yet the Cardinals still entered today's action 2 games in first place.
And there's really more to that whole story, not just Franklin, but the pitching in general. Here is a 1-1 to Pena. Off the hand, strike 2. If you had told the Cardinals in spring training that they would lose Adam Wainwright, a guy who won 20 games last year, 19 the year before, wouldn't throw one pitch for the Cardinals in 2011, had Tommy John surgery, and they would have one win out of Chris Carpenter, and he'll get the ball tomorrow on June 5th.
Yeah, Chris 1-5 on the year.
You would have thought this would be a wasted year for the Cardinals, and that is not the case. A strikeout starts the 10th. Time for a DirecTV game break, and it comes courtesy of Matt Kemp. Bases loaded, grand slam. Top of the 8th inning to tie that game at 7. And they're now in the top of the 10th inning as we are in St. Louis. Dodgers and Reds. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Here's Blake DeWitt. In at the knees, strike 1. Cardinals have Salas, who's closing games, and Eduardo Sanchez, who's setting him up. A little guy, but a hard-throwing right-hander. 1 ball, 1 strike on DeWitt, who has 1 home run and is 1 for 4 this afternoon. Here is a 1-1. And that's down the left field line. It is a foul ball, strike 2. In case you're just joining us, here's a summary. Lohse and Wells with the starters. Pujols went deep. He also has a double for an RBI, 2 runs scored. Fukudome has had a nice day with a couple of doubles and RBI. Carlos Pena, a 2-run shot. In the 6th inning, 6 runs and 9 hits combined. As this one is into left for Alan Craig. 2 out. And that'll bring in Giovanni Soto. There's the day for Soto, 1 for 4. His double came 1 out after the game-tying home run by Pena in the 6th. Scored the go-ahead run. The Cubs blew a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 6th. RBIs by Pujols and Berkman. Over but low, ball 1. St. Louis in the bottom of the inning will have Schumacher, Terrio, and John Jay, with Pujols due up 4th. Line drive caught by Theriot, and the inning is over. We go into the bottom of the 10th inning in St. Louis. Cards coming to bat. Tied at 4. Schumacher is scheduled to be the leadoff hitter. He'll be lifted for a pinch hitter, Tyler Green. And then back to the top of the order, Theriot, John Jay. If anybody gets on, Albert Pujols. That means that Tony La Russa has one guy left on his bench, and that's backup catcher Tony Cruz. 4-4 game, a fun one in St. Louis, and James Russell is trying to carry this game into the 11th. He has Samardzija getting loose behind him. Ball one outside. Tyler Green is another one of those draft picks, a former first rounder back in 05. And he hits it in the air into left center field. Back is Campana, 1 out. Here are the guys on the active Cardinals roster. And their recent draft picks where they were slotted. Carpenter, 13th round pick, by the way, as was Albert Pujols. Descalso, Tony Cruz, Mark Hamilton, John Jay, Alan Craig, and Tyler Green is the first out here in the 10th. Draft is coming up on Monday.
That means at least 390 players were drafted in front of Albert Pujols. Kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
And he was passed over by his hometown Kansas City Royals. Well, I'm sure look back at that missed opportunity. 13 chances to grab him, and they didn't take him.
Yeah, as did 28 other teams.
Count's gone to 2-1 on Theriot, who's 1 for 3. Single, a walk, 2 runs scored. There's a strike, and it's 2-2. Terrio is in the mold of a grinder. He is a tough little player and a guy that has brought an edge with him to this Cardinal team. And he grounds one off the glove of DeWitt. And he's on with 1 out in the 10th.
Tough play for Blake DeWitt, normally a second baseman, but has done well for the Cubs at third base. This is a very difficult in-between hop. And it is being scored an error. I think that's fair.
It brings in John Jay. On deck is Pujols, and the bullpen is Samardzija. Strike one showing bunt.
It would have been a bunt for a base hit. It's not a bad play. You have a chance to win the game in extra innings of a tie ball game. Say try to drive that run in. Don't leave it up to the next guy, even though the next guy is Albert Pujols.
Marmol is joined by Samardzija. That's strike two. John Jay is hitless on the day. He's grounded out 3 times, struck out. Terrio has a small lead, draws a throw. Cubs have Graybo and Maine, 2 lefties left in their bullpen. Samardzija, Marmol, Rodrigo Lopez, if they want to go that direction. He worked an inning last night. Still 0-2. A little over 3 hours old is this game. We're 4-4 in the 10th. Ball one. Russell, one of the 2 starters, along with Casey Coleman, trying to fill in for the injuries early to Cashner. And today's starter, Randy Wells, is 1-2. He is hooked into right. Fukudome won't get there, and going to third is Terrio. 90 feet away with a winning run here in the 10th on a hit by Jay.
And again, the Cubs burned by that prevent defense. Fukudome, you mentioned it the last inning, that he was so deep in a different area code out there, and that's a ball that normally is caught by Kosuke. Almost said Daisuke, who is going to be operated on sometime within the next week. You got to walk Pujols here, don't you? But if you do, then you've got Berkman, who's poorer from the right side than the left side. I think you go ahead and walk him and take your chances.
So the intentional walk will load him up. And if there was any question about pitching to Alan Craig or Skip Schumacher last inning, this one seems pretty straightforward. But the presence of Berkman and what he has done has made teams at least think about putting Albert Pujols on this year as opposed to years before.
It is certainly the right move, but consider this. The only hit Berkman has in the game is against a left-handed pitcher.
And Mike Quade is going to go to his closer.
Yep.
I mean, this is a team that is coming off a 3-6 homestand. They're at the start of a 10-game trip through 3 tough cities. It's a 4-4 game in the 10th, and Mike Quade is going to go down swinging if he goes down, with his closer Marmol against Bergman, left-handed, right-handed, whatever.
Get ready for some sliders, folks.
That's what Lance Berkman will be facing when we come back. Winning run is 90 feet away for St. Louis, and the closer Marmol coming in here in the 10th. Comes in from left field and will play first base. Out in the outfield, Lou Montañez takes over where Colvin was, and the pitcher bats in the 4th spot where Carlos Pena was, and that pitcher is Marmol. One question for Marmol has always been control.
Right.
And there's no margin for error here with the bases loaded, 1 out and Berkman up.
Lou Montañez, the new left fielder, is not in close enough. He's too deep. What you do, you're going to play the outfield in, and they're in at 3rd and 1st. A ball hit up the middle, they're playing for a double play of Lance Berkman, who is not a fast runner.
That just missed. A ball and a strike. Carlos Marmol has actually allowed more walks than hits during his major league career. And he's 1-1 on Berkman. And gets one by his bat down and in, strike 2.
I think Lance is going to see that pitch again. One slider after another from Carlos Marmol.
And out number 2 and a huge strikeout for Marmol. And now the last man on the bench for Tony La Russa. Tony Cruz will come up and hit. And Marmol was brilliant against Berkman.
Yeah, you think about that. I mean, to get to strike 2, the pitch was down and in. To strike him out, it was down and away. Even Marmol doesn't know where that slider's going.
Tony Cruz steps in. Got a start during the week at 3rd base, but he is here filling in for the injured Gerald Laird as the backup catcher. Tony La Russa's bench is empty. You know, Berkman went up there ready to swing. I don't think Marmol threw him a strike.
No. And Lance Berkman is a rather cautious hitter in situations like that. But Marmol makes you swing at balls.
There's a strike on a good pitch, 1-1.
I think more than any other pitcher in the National League, Marmol makes you go out of the strike zone to hit him. Very difficult to pick up.
That pitch was up. Cruz fouled it. Now he's set up at 1-2.
Yeah, that pitch was hittable. This is a hanging slider. Right-handed hitters in particular do not see that pitch a lot. But Tony Cruz saw it there.
In the air to left. Coming to get it, Montañez, and we go to the 11th. Cardinals had bases loaded, 1 out, could not push across the winning run. Great work by Marmol. 4-4 after 10. It's Josh Hamilton in the first inning with a tape measure 2-run home run. That's in Cleveland, 2-0 for the first place Texas Rangers early. You can get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Eduardo Sanchez is the 6th pitcher of the day for St. Louis. Josh Hamilton, by the way, that's only home run number 3 for the time he spent on the disabled list. And the changes are Tyler Green comes into the lineup. He pinch hit in the bottom of the 10th. He'll play second base. With Sanchez on the mound, dealing with Colvin, Campana, and Montañez.
We'll give you an idea of Carlos Marmol and that slider and what happens. The first one rather standard, then he came with a fastball, but watch the last 2. Down and in, down and away. That gives you an idea whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you really don't have an advantage against a guy with the best slider in the game today.
Other than starters, just so you know, Tony La Russa's bench has no position players left on it. And only the pitchers, Brian Tallett, the left-hander, and Ryan Franklin, the right-hander, the former closer. And here in the top of the 11th inning, Chicago will have Colvin, who was 0 for 4 and hitting under 100 at 0.97. 2 homers, hit 20 last year as a rookie. Campana, and then Montañez. So 3 of the young guys, and that's 1 pitch, 1 out. That'll bring in Tony Campana.
The Cardinal bullpen now has retired 12 in a row.
Campana's a part of that when he grounded out back in the 8th. That was against Batista.
He's doubly dangerous if he gets on, because we have seen him go from first to third. If he gets on, we're going to have a chance to see him go from first to second. The way he can run.
If you haven't seen this right-hander Sanchez pitch, he's not a big guy. He's got a big fastball. He can hit mid-90s, sometimes get it up there 97. Generates a lot of power with a little body as he breaks off a breaking ball that misses ball 1. And now the 1-1. 2-1. Marmol will work the bottom of this 11th and have Molina, Carpenter, Matt Carpenter, and Alan Craig. Here comes a 2-1. Tyler Green, 2 out. And with the bases empty, Montañez gets his first at bat. Montañez this season, there are the numbers. He has 4 hits. An interesting story that Ken Rosenthal will give you after this first pitch. Ball 1 low. Kenny, this is a unique story in Montañez.
Joe, he was the 3rd pick overall by the Cubs in the 2000 draft, but he never made it to Chicago. Kind of bounced around, went to the Orioles, finally made it to the majors in 08, 09, and 10 for a little while each time. And then he re-signed with the Cubs last January on a minor league deal. He says that he wanted his career to come full circle. He says it's almost like you want to give them something back for drafting you so high.
Let's see what he does here with 2 out, nobody on in the 11th in St. Louis. He grounds to Matt Carpenter. Bullpen has been outstanding for St. Louis, same for the most part for Chicago. Bottom of the 11th. Molina first up, tied at 4. Work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. Stand up for someone you love. Visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports to learn more. We wear those pins proudly every Saturday as this game goes into the bottom of the 11th inning with Yadier Molina, Matt Carpenter, and Alan Craig, the hitters against Carlos Marmol, who had a rough outing in support of Zambrano during the week against Houston.
Tell you how tough the Cardinal job is. They are going against a pitcher who has held the opposition to the lowest career batting average in the last 90 years. And there it is. Since 1921.
And he hits Molina to start the 11th.
Go figure. Probably a slider. Yep, it was. He dropped down, hits Benji Molina in the sweet spot. Benji not a fast runner, but he's on there. I beg your pardon. Yachty, I was thinking of his retired oldest brother, Benji, who played in the World Series last year.
So Molina is on to start the 11th, and the batter is Matt Carpenter. He was not bunting with an opportunity. Carpenter back in the 7th in a tie game. He doubled, flipping one into shallow left his last time up in the 9th. Cubs expect the bunt here. And they're still not going to get it, at least on that first pitch.
Now, if Tony La Russa doesn't bunt with him against a left-handed pitcher, then I doubt that he'll bunt with him against the right-hander.
Blake DeWitt is still in at third. He moved back one step. He's not totally convinced. And not just a swinging strike, but the bat flies out of the hands of the rookie Carpenter. 1-1.
Matt Carpenter, one of the few major league hitters that doesn't wear at least one batting glove. Don't see that skin to bat like Carpenter has. Extra pine tar, rosin. It's ready to go.
He initially was going to let that bat just sit in the dugout. He went for another one and then thought differently and grabbed the one he just fouled and just up from AAA. Now he goes down to talk to Oquendo, or better said, Oquendo comes down to talk to him. Maybe about this situation, and the count 1-1.
Well, some of the young guys coming up, in fact, a majority of young guys coming up can't bunt. That's why major league managers don't put the bunt play on more often.
Now he shows it and pulls back from strike 2.
If you don't work on it in the minor leagues, it's very difficult once you get to the big leagues to try something that new with twice the pressure.
Against a guy with better stuff.
Right.
And a foul tip. Carpenter just got a piece. On deck is Alan Craig. After him, Tyler Green, as Marmol tries to send this game to the 12th. That one dips down and in. 2-2. Molina hit by a pitch to start the inning. Matt Carpenter has one hit in 4 major league at bats. He could have a memorable day with something here. Just outside a full count. That time the rookie got the call and not the veteran Marmol.
That looked like a tailing fastball that appeared to be outside. Now do you send Yadier Molina?
He is going, and a foul backing out of play.
Again, risk and reward. It's funny, we were talking to Tony La Russa about this very same thing earlier today, and Tony's in a situation where I think the risk is in the forefront, and it is a risk sending Molina.
And it's strike three. A strike him out, throw him out, double play. 2 out, nobody on, as Carpenter watched strike three.
I think Carpenter thought the ball was inside. It appeared to be low enough. Also appeared to be a slider. And Molina an easy out at second base.
And it brings in Alan Craig with 2 out, nobody on. Craig 0 for 2 since entering back in the 7th. And Marmol makes him skip the rope.
I remember the 1988 National League Championship Series, where with runners on at first and second and nobody out, Greg Jeffries, who had 366 in the minor leagues, was called upon to bunt. He failed to bunt the runner over and ended up flying out to left field. And without doing that, not trying to put everything on Greg, but the fact that Greg was such a good hitter in the minor leagues, he was never called upon to bunt and couldn't. And it could very well have cost the Mets the chance to go to the World Series that year instead of the Dodgers.
Counts 2-1 on Alan Craig. Craig with 4 home runs, 22 RBIs. And this one to the left side, tough play, Castro. And safe as Colvin pulled off the bag. And it's a base hit for Alan Craig.
Castro did all he could, but too much to do in a very short time.
And a good call by the first base umpire and the crew chief, Ted Barrett. See if the Cardinals want to push it and try and run against Marmol, who, as we've said, can get wild. As Alan Craig draws a throw.
I get your drift, and the reason it would be, again, worth the chance is Marmol gets wild low, and that makes it tougher for a catcher like Soto to come up with it.
This one misses high for ball 1. Alan Craig has stolen 4 bases, has not been caught. Inside, 2-0. Tyler Green 0 for 1 since coming in to pinch hit to start the 10th. That's ball 3. This will be the 25th pitch from Carlos Marmol since he came on with 1 out in the 10th. Strike 1. Green's hit 1 home run, but see what he does with 3-1 count. If Marmol gets through this 11th inning, it would be his longest outing of the year, going 1 2/3. Taking on 3-1, and now the runner at first, Alan Craig, will get a head start. Winning run at first, 2 out in the 11th. Time called over at first base.
I think Dave McKay reminding Alan Craig to make sure Marmol pitches. Cannot get picked off in this situation.
And the strikeout ends the inning. That'll send this game into the 12th. Marmol, who got out of a jam in the 10th, gets right through the 11th. And we are still tied at 4. Cubs Cardinals on a warm late afternoon and now early evening in St. Louis. Off against the Giants. Next week's telecast of Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Sprint begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And on the Reds is the red hot Jay Bruce. We talked to Charlie Manuel last weekend in New York. The Phillies were playing the Mets, and Charlie Manuel had just seen plenty of Jay Bruce. Manuel is one of the better hitting coaches as well as managers in the game, and he said Jay Bruce has no idea, he didn't think, of how good he can be.
Or he's going to be.
He said through the hitting zone, he is as good as he's seen come along in a long time. As Fukudome leads it off against Eduardo Sanchez, top of the order in the 12th. Fukudome 3 hits, including 2 doubles. He's hit 2 home runs this year. And on the first pitch, he grounds to Terrio. 1 out.
Yet going into today's play, Jay Bruce was 12th in the All-Star voting. 12th. The year he's having.
2 of the Cardinal outfielders, Holiday and Berkman, are 2-3. Now Jeff Samardzija gets loose. That'll be it for Marmol, who went an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. Ball 1 inside to Barney. And now a strike. Barney in this game is 1 for 5. Starlin Castro on deck. Breaking ball is fouled. Strike 2. Barney hitting .295, 1 home run and 25 RBIs as a rookie with the Cubs. And that's just outside 2-2.
Only the second Darwin in the history of Major League Baseball.
And a strikeout for out number 2. First Darwin we ever heard of was the great pull hitter in the Galapagos Islands.
I have a theory about that.
Starlin Castro is coming up, a 21-year-old, and through his first 179 career games. Here's where Castro ranks. He'll be at the back end of the list. This is into today, and you look at the numbers and you realize what Castro has done, hitting .304 with more hits than guys like Banks and Yount. There's a tight breaking ball for a strike. Ripken Jr. and right behind Derek Jeter by 1 hit. Two out, nobody on, and Eduardo Sanchez fires strike 2. Aramis Ramirez is on deck.
Carlos Marmol left his slider out there for Sanchez to use.
Castro hitting .305. And he went. Cardinals catch a break as that ball, I believe, hit the umpire.
I agree with that. You're right.
And instead of Castro heading down to first on this strikeout, it hit Molina. It stayed away from the umpire, and that's the brilliance of Molina. That strikeout ends the inning. We're going to take a break. Do we have any commercials left? We do. You're going to get to see some right now. Top of the order coming up for the Cards. And he is the 6th pitcher of the day. 5th out of the pen. He's got good stuff. He can get wild as DJ LeMahieu takes over at second base in the double switch. And Darwin Barney is now at short. Castro out of the game. That's where the pitcher will bat. Cardinals bullpen has retired 17 straight. That is outside, ball 3, 3-0. Marmol an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. But now it's Samardzija. Top of the order. Terrio, Jay, Pujols. Terrio will take. Strike 1. And he may take again.
Yep. Not bad strategy against a guy whose first 3 pitches were balls.
Instead, he flies into center. And that's out number 1 in the 12th. Time for a DirecTV game break. Take it back to Cincinnati. The Dodgers got that grand slam out of Matt Kemp in the 8th. Here's Jamie Carroll with a base hit into center to make it 8-7 Dodgers in the 11th. And then this shot off the wall. Made it 9-7, now 11-7 at Cincinnati. You can get every MLB game and the most in HD by calling 1-800-DIRECTV. Jay, strike 1. John Jay with a base hit into right, his last time up, 1 for 5. That is foul. And 2 quick strikes on Jay, who's hit 4 home runs.
Foul by about 3 feet. Tyler Colvin playing on the line. No doubles, and that's the proper play against the talented John Jay.
Ball 1 outside.
For those who may not know, a third baseman or a first baseman who's trying to guard the line, they're moved there by the manager. It's a managerial move. They just don't arbitrarily go over there.
2-2. John Jay batting in front of Albert Pujols in a 4-4 game in the 12th. Samardzija. Still 2-2. Cardinal team playing without Matt Holliday. They've been 25-16 with Holliday in their lineup, 9-9 without. Runs per game are down. Jay getting his playing time. And here's a 2-2. Tony La Russa talked about that timing mechanism that John Jay has. As you see Matt Holliday out with a pulled quad, saying it's unorthodox. Mark McGuire, the hitting coach, is trying to calm that down a little bit. But they don't want to totally change what he is doing at the plate. Here's a 2-2. And one off the end of the bat to the shortstop, Barney, 2 out. And here comes Albert Pujols, and here comes Mike Quade. And Mike Quade wanted to make sure that Soto came out for this meeting.
He's talking to Soto and not Samardzija. The obvious thing is, if you're walking, it doesn't matter. Particularly when he's talking to Soto.
Today, he has homered into right center after lining out in his first at bat. Then he doubled for an RBI into left center in the 6th. And since then, he's been hit by a pitch and been intentionally walked. We don't have his hit by pitch. That was too exciting to put on that highlight reel of the day of Albert Pujols. He's got 8 career walk-off home runs. And you know that Pujols knows what that meeting was about. Do not let Pujols beat you. Two and 0. It's not as if Samardzija is the crafty veteran who can put it exactly where he wants every time.
No, that's right. That's right.
On the outside corner, 96. 2 and 1. On deck is Berkman. In the air to left center. Back at the wall. Pujols wins it. That is unbelievable. Not that Pujols hit it out, but that Samardzija made one good enough.
First question in the press conference from Mike Quaddy is, what did you tell Giovanni Soto? Soto was sitting down. It was a slider just hanging in the strike zone. Actually, better than I thought. That ball was not a hanger. But that's Albert Pujols.
But again, it goes back to the whole idea of pitching around a guy, trying to get a guy to fish.
And going away from your strength.
Going away from your strength, not just putting him on, especially when you fall behind in the count 2-0.
Right.
And Albert Pujols goes out of the strike zone to win it, down to Ken. Kenny, go ahead.
You know why? I know that he was probably going to throw me a slider. I was just sitting on it. I was like, if he throw me something that I can reach, I'm going to try to hit it hard to the middle. And that's what I did. And that's why I hit that ball out of the ballpark, you know, because I was taking that approach back to the middle. And hopefully give Lance another chance, you know, to win the game.
Are you now where you want to be?
You know what? I'm being when I want to be all year long. You know, it just I've been hitting the ball hard, you know, the last month, and it just tough luck, you know. But it's a long season, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Thank God that I got great teammates, you know, they picked me up early in the year when I've been struggling pretty much all year long. You know, you have Jari, you have Berman, you have a bunch of guys, young guys like Craig, you know, John Jay is stepping up for us. And, you know, it's always great, you know, because it doesn't put too much pressure on you.
Thank you very much.
All right, buddy.
Joe, back to you.
Albert Pujols hits 2 today. 41st career multiple home run game. He's got 4 in his last 6 games. And the Cardinals win at 5-4 and 12. In our Valvoline Next Gen right play of the game is Jeff Samardzija pitching, Albert Pujols at the plate, and a slider that was just good enough.